and welcome to Florida Foodie. I'm your host, Lisa Bell, along with our producer, Thomas Mates. Today, we have a prolific chef and restaurateur. He is classically trained and has worked all across the country with Michelin-starred chefs like Wolfgang Puck, not to name drop, but we are, before opening up Taglish here in Orlando, which is focused on Filipino and American cuisine. On top of all that, he has just opened 2 more restaurants since the pandemic started, which is extremely remarkable. So we are so grateful to be joined today by Chef Mike Collantes. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
So tell us about your interesting start into the culinary field.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm from Winter Park, from Orlando, Florida. So went to culinary school here. I always tell people I started at the Sbarro School of Pizzerias at 16 at the Fashion Square Mall. So, I started my career here in Orlando, went to Valencia, but I spent the last, before I went traveling for about 10 years, was left as the head sushi chef for Wolfgang Puck in downtown Disney before it did close. Yeah.
Talk about some amazing training to be able to work, in a restaurant like that. Were you always like growing up? You said you started out, 16 working in the food industry, but had you always been drawn to the kitchen?
I think before it got really polished and professional, when I jumped on board, it was a great industry for the misfits and the ones who wasn't gonna, I couldn't see myself doing anything but with my hands. And what I still say to this day, the hospitality industry just really gives that instant gratification. You get to really see the guests and see their expressions. So that was really, really big for me. But no actual training before went to culinary school here at Valencia and then at Wolfgang, obviously, and then traveled the country with some amazing chefs from Las Vegas to Philly and Hawaii.
Wow.
Yeah.
What brought you back to Orlando then?
Well, Orlando got cool, I guess, while I was gone. Got really cool, the industry, the restaurant scene and everything. But what brought me back was I was after traveling for about 10 years, working for Robuchon, Masa Takayama, Eric Repair, and my mentor, Jennifer Carrol, who was on Top Chef. She was on a few seasons of Top Chef, so she's one of my all-star best chefs I've ever worked for. But my wife and I had a restaurant in Hawaii. It brought us out to Hawaii, which was amazing. Just, you are on an island, you get a little island fever. And when we decided to have kids, we came back to Orlando to see family and never left. Yeah.
So tell us about Titus Collective. For people who haven't heard of it before, what is it?
Absolutely. Titus Collective is our new restaurant group, started this year, 2021, but we have our first restaurant. My previous position was being the corporate chef for the Bento Group, and I traveled and helped them open up multiple locations with them. But for the restaurant group that we've just created, we started out in a Korean supermarket on the edge of town, maybe 2 months before the pandemic. November 2019, it was hitting the country really hard in February. And I felt like we were still young and still fresh enough to figure out new ideas, how to get business in. We were labeled an essential worker since we were in the supermarket. So that actually helped us stay open throughout the pandemic and pivot this whole time during that. But we also just, with added confidence going through that, we decided to open up multiple restaurants and help other restaurants that were struggling. There was a bar, Thirsty Topher. They needed food. They closed for 6 months. They needed to bring back people in, and it was the only way we could do it was with food. So we opened a pizza place with them, probably from handshake to first pizza out, less than a month and a half.
Wow.
So that was really quick.
And you're absolutely right. That was a huge thing during the pandemic. When bars were shut down, but restaurants were allowed to be open, people were trying to partner. And it's amazing, and a good opportunity for you to kind of step in and fill that need.
Absolutely. And it's from these partnerships, I feel like everyone was struggling, but communities got smaller. And even with Soseki, our fine dining restaurant out in Winter Park, I partnered with a chef that got furloughed during that time, an amazing sushi chef named Denny Cha. And we went on this journey of doing pop-ups and again, figuring out how this thing could work. We didn't really have a game plan for it. We always say we have the roadmap of how not to open a restaurant crew. But it helped. And now we have a 10-seat fine dining, 20-course, 2-hour experience in Orlando, right in Winter Park. If we can't do fine dining and going to New York and LA, why don't we bring it here to Orlando? And we're able to bring in a lot of top-tier talent for that property.
So I've noticed with all your businesses, it seems like, and I mean this in the best way possible, it's like you're a hermit crab, kind of like moving into the shells of other businesses and just sort of setting up shop. You said that that's helped you to sort of expand and grow even more so than with like a traditional brick and mortar.
Being nimble and flexible, I think.
Yes. Yeah. Any possible concept, any possible way where we wouldn't shy away from the pizza place, which they literally built a restaurant, which ended up being a 10 by 12 foot closet of a kitchen. But they said, yeah, we have it available. And they put it on their Topher put it on Facebook. 88 people, I think, applied. And we came in with a great concept and great sensibility. So not being afraid of any operation that comes through. Soseki, another one, it was actually a salon that every time I passed by this building, I knew it should be something more. And we just created a brand new experience for that. And then we have a couple more restaurants in the works already. We have about 3 new restaurants happening later this year.
Wow. And
we just opened our test kitchen / media company called 86 Media. Amongst all this, I hired this guy, Aram, my main partner here, Aram. He came back from China, PPP hit, came back from China, COVID hit. He had no network here in Orlando. He started just doing some photography for us on the side. We were able to pivot PPP to get awareness about our company out. And he made himself irreplaceable. And from that, we said, well, we're opening all these concepts. Why don't we just do our own media company and do it in-house and offer new opportunity? So again, just we're taking a very untraditional approach to how to grow. And it's working well for us.
So with that media company, I mean, are you going to start, your own YouTube channel and try and capitalize off of all of that media as well?
Absolutely. When we got him on board in May of last year, it was a 3-month, listen, man, PPP hit. We could get you for 3 months and then we don't know what's going to happen. He said, fine. He grew our TikTok from 0. I mean, I didn't even know about TikTok. I don't know about, I'm in the kitchen. I don't know what any of these things. TikTok from 0 to about 18,000 in 6 months. And we saw a 20% upswing on weekends. I saw the videos and we just started seeing a new way to, you can't meet people. We're all stuck in house. We started really diving into media during that time. I'm sure we binge watched that Tiger show back then that we don't even talk about now. But during that time, we were able to capture a lot of people. And once it was go time to get out there, they're first in line. They're out the door.
It is so interesting because your business has really flourished during the pandemic and grown. How key and important was getting and securing that PPP to allowing you guys to stay afloat and to grow and to expand?
Again, I talked about a little bit of we got confident. And I think that confidence came from having some government assistance. Mm-hmm. Other people weren't as fortunate, but you could see a little bit light of the tunnel. I mean, I opened 2 months, COVID was hitting really hard in February, but we opened in November 2019 in a Korean supermarket. No one wanted to show up there. By January, it was empty. I mean, it was tough for us. No one wanted to come in. And so it was very scary at times. I was working pretty much open to close by myself a few days out of the week. Luckily, we didn't lose too many folks and we brought those people back in. PPP gave us the confidence to say, hey, there's a little bit of extra assistance to continue us forward. And we took some risks and it paid off.
So obviously, sorry, just real quick, everyone knows about pizza. We've all had pizza before, and everyone, for the most part, has had sushi before. But what exactly can you get at Taglish, which is Filipino-American cuisine? What are you serving up there?
Absolutely. So all of our concepts are a little bit unique, a little bit different. We say if everyone's having a pepperoni and hot honey pizzas at their pizza spot, we'll never do it. If you could get this, this dish somewhere else, we want really unique experiences. We hire high-level chefs, and we want to keep them interested. We want to keep them really the brains, turning. So with Taglish, this is not what you'd find in the Philippines. This is truly, and it's not fusion by any means. It's a perspective of second generation Filipino-American food. We had burritos on the menu. We have burgers on the menu, some of those things. And you'll find some traditional aspects with our American spin. Whenever anyone asks me what part of the Philippines I'm from, I always say New Jersey.
So that's a beautiful part of the Philippines, by the way.
Right over
especially this time of the year.
Yeah.
Oh, it's gorgeous. But same thing with the pizza place. Our claim to fame right now is banana pizzas, literally bananas on pizzas with pepperoni and calabrese peppers. You won't find it anywhere else. We know it works. I mean, we're a little cuckoo as chefs, but I think we know what we're doing, and that's our number one seller, along with our second highest sellers. Everybody hates pineapple pizza. We said, how do we take something that no one likes or half the people like?
I love pineapple.
Re-engineer it. Yeah.
So what do you do with it? I mean, I'm a big fan of Canadian bacon and pineapple. What do you do with it?
Right. So I love it. I mean, I grew up eating it, right? Surprisingly, they don't eat it in Hawaii as much as you think they would, right? But you usually get these canned Dole pineapples that's expired for 2 years on your pizza with some Canadian bacon. That's just what it is. So we take fresh pineapples, we make it into a pineapple jam in-house. We take some beautiful smoked applewood Newski bacon, put that on there, and house-made pickled jalapenos. We put 3 different types of Italian cheeses. Our tomatoes are imported from Italy and DOP government certified San Marizanos. I mean, we take this chef approach to it and try not to mess it up. And so you're really getting some very chef driven, in the beginning, everyone's like, how come I can't make my own pizza? Well, we took 2 months to R&D this pizza. So maybe try it first and then add your own spin afterwards.
So you had kind of hinted at the fact that you're starting out just before the pandemic really hit. And then as the pandemic hit, seemed to be this apprehension of a lot of people, and I should say unjustified, a lot of people visiting, Asian run businesses. But you were starting to feel that effect as things were hitting.
Absolutely. In the beginning, I mean, we just opened 3 months ago. So we're still in the swing of figuring out how to operate. I've worked for a lot of great and amazing chefs, a lot of big brands. I was a corporate chef before it, but this was actually mine. And so I was going to sink or swim. We were going to do anything and everything during that time. It's unfortunate it did come from China. So there was just a little bit of fear mongering in the beginning. But I think that also we were ahead of when everyone shut down in March, we were already feeling the effects of early February. So it really helped us to pivot ourselves before the big hit. Yeah.
And the community has since come together, and obviously you've flourished.
Oh, absolutely. And we just do things that we enjoy, having chef meetups, having collaborations. We are doing a lot of collaborations with other chefs and getting their name out there during this time to help them build their business. Doing all of the media marketing for for operations. I always say it was a combination of a lot of things that really just made it start to snowball effect. Yeah.
So it also seems helpful as you to go along with that thought, to partner with these businesses like the Thirsty Topher and even being inside the supermarket. I mean, that really helps cut down on your costs. And then hopefully you can, piggyback off some of their customers and introduce your brand to them. But in addition to that, how, are you guys on Uber Eats and any sort of delivery app?
Oh, yeah. So we, everyone really wanted to support local during that time. April, May, there was a big push for support local and get delivery. Well, we realized during that time that the percentages that Uber Eats and these big brands were taking out of us, I mean, we finally, April came, the big push was happening. We could see a lot of people doing to-goes. We're so thankful. Then you see the month end, then you see your P&L reports, and you see profit and loss, and you see that over 30% of what you would have made in profit literally went back into those Uber Eats and all of those delivery apps. And you just I sank. We opened it up to 4 delivery systems, and to realize how much they were taking out of the cut, it was like, it didn't even help us.
Right. So what did you do?
We were busy. We cut them out. We started doing that. I think that's when curbside really hit with a lot of people. We started doing curbside. We started just meeting our clients as much as possible. The collaboration started at that time where we would, if you pick up in a very safe manner, we collaborated with Valkyrie Donuts, with Getting Messy Barbecue. And what we did was we take their products, do it there, shoot the promo, and just collaborate on a dish together, and that really helped to get away from the delivery. Yeah.
So a lot of curbside. That's interesting.
Yeah, absolutely.
You talk about how different your cuisine is. You have sushi, you have Filipino American, and pizza, and you plan to open at least 3 more concepts. What can we expect from those?
We have, sushi is such a broad range of styles. We have Taglish 2, or finally we're going to do a brick and mortar that should open in the next month or 2 by UCF. You can expect the same thing that we're doing at Taglish, just in our own space finally, instead of in a food court. And you should expect, so Seki is, again, 20 courses. I mean, we're in the entertainment capital of the world. So we always say it's not really dinner or lunch. It's more of a full, 2-hour experience.
Yeah.
From fish all over the world, products. We have exclusive garden, edible education, a nonprofit garden in College Park that we get all of a lot of our produce from, actually. And we're using a lot of local produce and local farmers. But that's not, not everyone can spend that kind of money on sushi, on that experience. So we are in works with the Robinson Room and the guys downtown, amazing group down there. They do cocktails well. Well, we do food really well. So you'll see a little bit more relaxed environment, sushi to go with the cocktails. So that's in the works. And then a few other projects that we can't really say, but again, with the mentality that we have, if someone else is doing it, we're going to try to do something completely different, turn it around, and do something like that.
Which is so incredible, because as we have seen during the pandemic, so many kind of traditional restaurants, sadly, have had to shut their doors and just haven't been able to stay afloat. And so obviously the fact that you can be so flexible and nimble and make changes and pivot and do what you need to do, I'm sure has been key. Earlier, though, you mentioned when you decided to move in part back from Hawaii here because you wanted to start a family, you wanted to settle down. How do you juggle that all, building this whole collective and then starting a family and, having that work-life balance?
I have no idea. We have a 4-year-old and a 4-month-old at home. And in the past month, we opened 2 restaurants and a media company. My wife's not too happy with it. She's happy. I've got to buy her a purse every once in a while, but she's happy. It's always a hard balance. I think as a chef, I've been a workaholic for sure, but we really are trying to change what hospitality means as a restaurant group. As soon as we got this restaurant group and we started getting a lot of key players that are invested into this operation, we just knew we can't do it alone. We have to build our own community, and people have to be behind the vision. And how does that work is we have a lot of core values that I think really make us stand out. We treat our team better than our guests. No one really wants to hear that, but it's the truth. Mm-hmm. If we don't treat them well, how can they know what hospitality is? We're working right now to get mental health specialists basically where they have access that we will pay for completely, where we would have mental health checks twice a month so that they doesn't go to me, it goes directly to who we're connecting with currently, and they'll just have access to to speak that out, because this is a tough career. It's a tough industry. We just had a chef meetup, and a couple of the chefs were like, yeah, during COVID, we had a heavy depression and all these things. And just for us to give access to speak that out with other chefs. So we're going to continue to do that. So we're just I want to create a hospitality group and an environment and community where we really flourish and help each other, but also, just a little different than things I wish I had when I was in the industry, doing 18 years in the industry.
You had mentioned before, and I worked in kitchens when I was in college, that, the restaurant industry tends to attract a lot of misfits, people on the margin. So I have to imagine that they really appreciate, having, a boss that would look after not just their work well-being, but also their mental well-being. And I have to imagine that really helps to build that collective, as you called it.
No, absolutely. And that is the collective. It's, we're all working toward the same goal. And I always ask these guys, what is your, what's your dream scenario? Where are you trying to be? And how do we align what we're trying to do with what you're doing? And if we're running in the same path, then we're going to ultimately meet the same goals. And it might not be where you want to be now, but it's somewhere where we could see it in the future. Why we grew so fast is because, we started having people who just didn't want to leave. We needed to give them new opportunity. You get them stuck in one position for too long, they're going to get stagnant. And do I want to lose them to a competitor, or do I want to build an opportunity for them? Whether that's in the media side, whether they say, hey, I'm done with being in operations and I'd rather be behind a desk and do HR. Well, perfect. Let's build that operation for you. And we've seen usually turnover is pretty high in this industry. We haven't had a call out. We haven't had some issues or coming in drunk or any of those things in the past 8 months. And I really think it's a very intense operation, but we do try to put their best interests in mind as long as it aligns with us. I didn't even mention right now all of the staff. Front, back of house, it's usually divided. Everyone gets tipped out. Everyone gets a tip out. So everyone's in the same pool, this collective of, if I don't perform, you don't do well. If you don't perform, I don't do well financially. And so we've seen this amazing connectivity with our team.
I know we're running out of time, but I have a couple of other questions. It's been a big issue in Florida, raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour. Can I get your thoughts on that?
I think it's a necessary evil as it would. I mean, like, people need to live, and they need to make a certain amount to have a lifestyle, to have a life, to build a family. I don't disagree with it. I know it's going to be tough. And I think that's why we are changing how hospitality is being run. We're opening up the chef forum, which we did last week at Perla's Pizza. We had a big chef meeting, and we're just opening the forum of how you guys are combating all of this. I know for us, it's going to be from sharing the tip pool, making it accessible for everyone to be a little bit more equal. Not 20% of the employees are making 80% of the compensation. But I fully believe but we also understand that we're going to have to work harder. We're going to have to work smarter. We're going to have to cut some people, some positions out. It'll be some rocky times for it. And I think as a consumer, as a guest, you should see a little bit of increase in dining out as a pleasure, right? So
an experience, as you mentioned. As
an experience, absolutely.
And you said you asked your employees, what's your dream scenario? What's your dream scenario? A Taglish on every corner across the country? Or,
I just want to, we've been approached already to go to other cities and how they franchise. I'd love to be involved, and that's fantastic. I'm here to grow the community, the chef community here in Orlando first. I would love to continue to explore Filipino American culture and bring it more mainstream. I think out of We are the second largest population of Asians in America with the least representation. So I'd love to continue to explore that with new concepts. I'd love to see a Filipino stall at Epcot Food and Wine, or see one of our concepts at Disney. I think that's our number one, is to see that and bring more notoriety to what Orlando food scene, what's happening here. Everyone says Orlando food's on the rise. Well, I tell them that no, it's here. We just all have to be on the same page and continue to push and work hard and treat our people well.
Awesome. Mike Collantes, thank you so much for spending some time with us. Taglish Collective, some great restaurants. Check them out. Go get some curbside pickup. And
where can people find you online real quick, just lastly, before you go?
Oh, yeah. Taglish FL, Soseki FL, Perlis Pizza. Google my name. I'm sure we'll pop up.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you again, guys. Appreciate it.
All right.
Thanks for having me.
Take care.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Have a good one.
Thank you for listening to Florida Foodie. We'd also like to thank our guest, Chef Mike Collantes from Taglish Collective. You can find the chef online at MikeCollantes.com. You can also find his restaurants on social media. Search for Taglish FL, Soseki FL, and Perlis Pizza on Facebook and Instagram. Be sure to follow Lisa Bell online as well. Search Lisa Bell News on Facebook and Instagram, or Lisa Bell News 6 on Twitter. You can also find her new children's book online at normangnomebooks.com and by searching Norman Gnome Books on Facebook and Instagram. Also, a big thank you to our technical producers Derek Mosier and Ryan Haley. I'm the show's producer Thomas Mates. Florida Foodie is available for download wherever you get your podcasts. Please take the time to rate and review us there as well. You can find videos of all of our podcasts on clickorlando.com/podcast.